What's going on, family? So look, y'all, recently Paul Pierce came out and said that LeBron James is nowhere in his top five. Well, he stated his top five, and LeBron James was nowhere in the top five. And he said that LeBron James is just not a top five player in his opinion, which is absolutely fine, right? It's no problem with that. If you don't feel like LeBron is a top five player in your opinion, that's your opinion. It's cool. People look at the game from different angles, right? However, Kendrick Perkins came out and revealed, hey, he think Paul Pierce is tripping because him and LeBron had this grudge going on. He got this grudge against LeBron. That him and LeBron don't really care for each other at all, and it's been like that for some time now. And it was dating back to, I think, LeBron's second year in the league or first year in the league at the time, right? And Paul Pierce felt some type of animosity towards LeBron for receiving all this hoopla, all of this fanfare that he had, and the media was crowning him before he played. And Paul Pierce felt some type of way about that. Like, how the hell y'all going, how dare y'all put this kid, up on a pedestal and he hasn't played no games yet. He hasn't surpassed any of the legends. How dare y'all speak of him, keep on rambling about his name. Paul Pierce is getting tired of it, right? So, during the game, he was showing some animosity towards LeBron and towards the entire Cleveland Cavaliers team. He even went as far as spit in the direction of LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers bench. He spit at the bench, right? And let me just say this, right? If somebody spit in my direction, we gotta fight. We gotta fight instantly. Ain't no talking, none of that. We gotta get down. Because that is the lowest thing you can do to a person. If the spit would have landed or not. Spitting on somebody is the lowest thing you can do to one of the lowest things you can do to a person. My father and my mother always taught me that, right? But one thing that I noticed too, and let me say this, Paul Pierce came out and he said that he confirmed that it was true, that he did do that, right? And that animosity and that tension was building up for sure. And all this does is reveal something that I've been knowing for a long time. A lot of the older dudes in the NBA, especially the ones around Paul Pierce's age and a little older, a lot of them felt resentment towards LeBron James because he came in with a lot of fanfare and a lot of hype. They didn't like it. They didn't like him being called King James. They didn't like all the media attention that he was getting. They thought he was a media darling. They despised that about him. They hated that about him. So when he got into the league, they wanted to prove a point, make it a point that to prove that he wasn't as good as what other people thought he was. They wanted to prove that he wasn't this dynamic force that he was in high school, and you can't do this against NBA players. And it was true because LeBron's own teammates at the time, right? When they found out that LeBron could be a potential teammate of theirs, they was talking about how, one kid can't change no franchise, and they already got players as good as him on a roster right now, or better than him on a roster, so it ain't really gonna be no big deal. Teammates was throwing salt. So can you imagine dudes on other teams playing against him? Like, for real, they wanted to go out and prove that he wasn't who the world thought he was. Until they got on the court with that man, and they found out he is not only good as advertised, he's better than what was advertised originally. And he was better than a lot of them at the age of 18. And it was clear. So a lot of them felt some type of animosity towards him. And that spilled out into the basketball court. And it spilled out into their criticisms of the man. Oh, he's not tough enough. He don't got this bravado that I see in Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. He don't got this aggressive energy all in his demeanor. He's too friendly. He's too nice. It's crazy. LeBron be killing these dudes with kindness all the time. He be killing these motherfuckers with kindness all the time. And guess what? Because acting tough don't win you championships, and it don't win you games. I don't care what nobody say. My uncle always taught me that dudes that go around acting tough in basketball, they doing it because they lack a skill. They lack skill in the area. So they got to be super tough, super all this bravado. They got to poke their chests out. They got to hard foul you. They got to do all this extra stuff because they're missing a skill to overtake you in some type of area. And no disrespect, but guys like Kenyon Martin, their whole career was predicated on being super tough guys and all of that because they lack certain skills to get them over the top or to get them to a certain level in the NBA. That's all that is. And a lot of all this stuff that comes to LeBron, a lot of this hate is stemming from the fact that they didn't like all the attention he was getting. They didn't like the hoopla he was getting. They didn't like him being crowned. They didn't like none of that. And when they found out they couldn't punk him on the court, when they found out when he came on the court and he held his chest, he held his head up high, when they found out that he wasn't easily intimidated on the court, when they found out he played them boys just like he played them boys in high school. They felt some type of way about it. So they tried to find other ways to bring him down or diminish him in some type of way. And Paul Pierce admitted, like for real, like he admitted he spit at the bench and all of that. And Paul Pierce acting like this is a good example of why we can't always take what former players say as gospel, right? Paul can rank LeBron wherever he wants to. That's cool, right? But I don't hold a lot of value in his ranking when he obviously has a grudge against that man. And he admitted to spitting towards him and the whole entire Cleveland Cavaliers bench, right? These players are human beings, just like you and I. Just because they played the game well or played at an exceptional level does not mean that they are above being biased. Just because they played the game well do not mean they're above being biased. It is what it is, man. For real, like and Paul Pierce admitting this, like for real, Kendrick Perkins really the one like that made him because Kendrick was getting pissed at and Kendrick his boy, that's his brother, right? But Kendrick real because he played with both of them, like LeBron his brother and Paul his brother, but he like. Don't be doing that to Bron. Don't be trying to throw shots every single time about him when we know it's something deeper than just basketball with y'all. You know what I mean? And Kendrick Perkins put this out there to make Paul Pierce admit to this. And Paul Pierce looked bad for spitting at some dudes in a game of competition because what have they got to do with competition? What does they got to do? How did that give you a competitive edge? It doesn't at all, right? And LeBron was 19 years old at the time that they had all this conflict. And look, Paul Pierce, 26 years old. He already a millionaire, already at a certain level in the NBA. Like he was already established as a great player in his own right. He already had the nickname The Truth. Why is you out here feeling all this resentment and animosity towards a 19, 18-year-old kid who's a millionaire? What he do to you? You feeling pissed and getting mad. It was the same thing I saw with guys doing to Reggie Bush when he came out of USC, right? But LeBron was a much better player in his sport than Reggie Bush ever was. You know what I mean? So it intensified things. Guys carried a certain type of hate on a chip on their shoulder towards LeBron, or they carried a certain type of disdain in their heart towards him because when he got on the court, he showed that he was not scared of them. He held his head high and was proceeding to put up 20, 30, 40, 50. In that same era, when everybody was supposed to be quote unquote tough guys, and it was hard to do this, it was hard to bang in my era, and you couldn't do it. What they say, you couldn't do what you can do now in my era, and my era was so much tougher. And LeBron was in that same era in 2003, playing against all them tough ass dudes, all them super tough dudes. He was playing against all of them and still giving them buckets time after time and time again, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. Right, so they felt some type of way about it. So to this day, they still they have this disdain towards LeBron, right? And they always want to put, one of their contemporaries above him because it feels good to say a guy that I was playing, the guy that I came in with, is better than that guy, rather than a guy that was younger than y'all. Guys don't like giving guys that's younger than them this credit of being better than the guy that they was in the era with. Nah, you're not gonna be better than the great I came in with. No. You ain't gonna. The younger dude ain't gonna be better than the guy that I came in with. That's how a lot of them older dudes feel, and it's the truth. And I see it all. It's all these dudes. A lot of them got that same bias. And this whole story, Paul Pierce ain't the only one that felt like that about LeBron. He is not the only one that had this disdain towards LeBron for him being what people perceived as a media darling. He didn't like. A lot of them didn't like the fact that LeBron was giving all this attention. They hated that. And they wanted to prove the world wrong, but they could not do it because they wasn't good enough. That boy was really that good. He was really that deal. And they had to live with that. They had to face it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. But Kendrick Perkins coming out and bringing this to light take a lot of balls, man. You know what I'm saying? Take a lot of heart because people trying to clown Kendrick Perkins and call him a gossiper and all this and all of that, but he looking like, nah, man, I'm telling the truth about what it is. I was in the locker room. So Paul Pierce saying that LeBron wasn't this, it wasn't that. He said, man, I remember Coach Thibodeau and them trying to prepare to stop LeBron James any way possible, coming up with defensive schemes to try to get him, to try to beat this man time and time again. And he admitted out his own mouth. It was easier beating Kobe Bryant and them than it was preparing for LeBron James. It was. And despite, Paul Pierce don't want to say LeBron is a top 5 player, it's cool, but he know what it was. He knows that hey, you know that boy is the real deal. And you can't deny that. You know what I mean? LeBron, in my opinion, is the best small forward to ever play the game. LeBron number 2 all time on my list, only behind Michael Jordan. And I got Kobe Bryant number 3. But you know, you can I'm not mad at whoever got their own list or however you got it or whatever, but let's be real, man. A lot of these old heads got a lot of hate in their heart towards their young dude because he came in like a young gorilla, killing everything in sight. Yeah, he wasn't winning championships early, but he was making a statement against all these dudes, beating Detroit at 22 years old, carrying that team that the Cleveland Cavaliers had full of YMCA dudes, Boobie Gibson and them, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Boobie Gibson, Drew Gooden, these dudes that you never really heard nothing after LeBron left. You know what I mean? And Zydrunas was a 2-time All-Star in his own right, but Zydrunas was one of them All-Stars by default. You know what an All-Star by default is. Like, there's really nobody else around and get that nod to, so they give it to you, or you want a good team, so they give you the All-Star nod. Kind of like them All-Star nods, those All-Star nods that Kyle Lowry keep getting. He a 6-time All-Star, averaging 14-5 or 14-6 because he play on a really, really good team. I'm like, what the hell? If that's the case, Kirk Heinrich should have been an All-Star when he was putting up 16-7 on the Bulls teams that was sweeping. They swept the Miami Heat in the first round and so on and so forth. I'm like, you know, like it's crazy, but yeah, Zydrunas was getting them All-Star nods by default or whatever. So yeah, like LeBron carried that team to the finals at 22 and beat the Detroit Pistons in the Palace of Auburn Hills. That game 5 was a game 5 or game 6. Game 5 that LeBron had at the Palace was remarkable, and that's when I knew them dudes couldn't do nothing with him. Rasheed Wallace and them could get all mad all they want to. They were talking crazy, or they could do whatever they wanted to do, but they knew that that boy was for real. And again, that's why we can't take everything these former players say as gospel. Because I heard somebody say this: all the great players always say, you know, LeBron ain't nowhere near Jordan, and only the scrubs say LeBron is close to Jordan. Well, not only the scrubs, brother, because I heard the big old Oscar Robertson say that LeBron is right there at the same level with Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real. And I hear Dr. J speak about LeBron in that very same light. And those were not scrubs at all. And people want to use the excuse, oh, the big old played just like LeBron James. So that's why he give him all that adulation. That's why he give him all that praise or whatever. No, he know the game of basketball. And he likes that style of, he know that style of play is a great style of play. It is. You know what I mean? It is conducive to multiple things. So it is what it is, man. But I'm telling y'all, if Paul Pierce would have spit at me, we would have been fighting, brother. Like, I'm not like, nah. You ain't spitting at me and just like I'm letting it slide, bro. We got to throw hands. I don't care if I lose. We got to fight. You got to feel this aggression and this anger from me. But LeBron was 19, 18 at the time. He like, shit, it is what it is. These dudes gonna hate. Let them keep hating. The spit didn't land on me, but I heard the Cleveland Cavaliers was about to fight the Boston Celtics in the locker room or in the hallway or whatever after the game. But LeBron like, look, I got this $90 million from Nike. Look, it is what it is. These dudes gonna hate. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep excelling. He gonna keep ascending, and that's exactly what happened. You know what I mean? And LeBron is what, 34 and 33 against Paul Pierce. That's what the record is. So I mean, they was neck and neck with each other for real. But and you know, Paul Pierce is a great player in his own right. But people be like, you know, Paul was just as good as LeBron. Let me tell y'all something, man. Paul Pierce is a great player, for real. He was the truth. Them years with him and Antoine Walker were phenomenal in Boston. I remember that. You know what I mean? And I really wanted them to make a deep run. And he was cold. He was dope. He's a great player. But I specifically remember when Twan left the Celtics. It was some years where the Chicago Bulls were Michael Sweeney at center and Othello Harrington at power forward. We were beating the Boston Celtics. Paul Pierce led Boston Celtics teams. You can say all the teams was trash or whatever, so on and so forth. There was no way in hell the Chicago Bulls was going to be beating. I was looking at I promise y'all, like the Celtics was so terrible with Paul Pierce only over there by himself. I was marking that as a win for sure every time the Bulls played them. And the Bulls wasn't really on nothing at that time. But I'm going to tell y'all something right now. There is no way I was going to mark a W. I knew it was an instant W playing against LeBron James. Othello Harrington, and I'm like, no, bro, no. And I can name you say, the rest of the Bulls team was good. They was straight. But Paul Pierce, if he is good as LeBron, we wasn't going to be just beating them with Othello Harrington and Michael Sweeney at the center position. And who was Luol to start with? Yeah, Luol. Young Luol. We was getting them up out. We getting Paul Pierce and them up out of there. And Paul eventually won when KG and Ray Allen came on to the fold or whatever. And they did what they supposed to do, but they should have won more. They should have won back to back. They shouldn't have let LA beat them for real. If you want to be for real. But hey, Paul is an NBA Finals MVP. He's an NBA champion. He got over 26,000 points or something like that, which is phenomenal. It's a lot of buckets. He's a great player, but he got hate in his heart, and he got a lot of animosity towards LeBron James, and we cannot ignore that. In his whole little, even in his top 5 rankings, we know he got this thing towards LeBron. Anyway, man, Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm done talking. Peace.